Hi everyone, it's Evangeline here at eTrailer. Today we're taking a look at the Benton 4 bike platform rack. This is the Shifts&Grins with the add-on, and we're going to take a look at how it fits right here on our 2023 GMC Terrain. This is going to be a little different compared to your other platform racks. It has some unique features like how it can fold up flat to make it easier to store inside your garage. And because this carrier uses a button instead of a lever, it's very easy to add as well as detach the add-on and to tilt the rack away if you want access into your hatch. So we're going to take a look at some of those features, focusing here on our vehicle. One of my favorite things is even though the hitch is really low on our vehicle here, because of how the bike rack is shaped, we have a good amount of ground clearance off the ground, and because we have some protection here, even when we tilt the whole rack away, we don't have to worry about it too much. To tilt the rack away, there's some different functions here. There is a stopper on the bottom with a rubber pad, and then there's a handle up top. So you can either press the button in with your hand. It's actually low enough where I can press the button in with my knee, and that keeps my hands free. And once that button is pressed in, you can then lower the rack to the ground and you'll see it will sit on there. That's partly because the Terrain has a hitch that's low, which means you don't have far to go down, but also most 4-bike platform racks, no matter which vehicle you have contact with the ground. But you'll tilt your rack away if you want access to your hatch. So you can see here on our Terrain that while we can open up our hatch door, we can't go all the way where the handlebars are. So this is still pretty good in order to get in there and grab our groceries or helmets real quick. But the reason we can't get full tilt-away access is because of that contact with the ground. When you take off the 2-bike add-on and you only have the 2-bike carrier, it does have a much deeper tilt. Still, this is something that's going to be very common for 4-bike carriers on your Terrain, so it is nice to see that it has a little bit of clearance. To bring the carrier back up, grab the handle and lift up on the rack. It'll snap into place, and that's how you know you are now ready to drive. So having a tilt-away function is great if you have a quick and easy need to get into your hatch of your Terrain, but once you have this fully loaded up with bikes, that could be a lot of weight that you're tilting down and lifting up. This does have a weight capacity of 55 pounds per bike, which is pretty impressive once you have it fully loaded up. The types of bikes you can carry with this is going to be pretty versatile, with it being designed for those heavier bikes, but also, let's say you have a mountain bike or a road bike, you have 3 points of contact. So 1 and 2 are going to be the straps, and the third is going to be this wheel mount that can also be turned into a frame mount. So if I kept the straps on, released this mount up here, and I put our frame mount and hook over, we can then secure it by the bottom points or the lowest point of our frame. This is going to be helpful if you have a bike with fenders. But to take the bike off, you start with the straps and not the hook. So the straps, you just press this lever, releases the strap, then you can lift this up and swing it out to the side. Once the back and the rear straps are off, you can then press the button for the hook, bring the hook out, and now you can grab your bike and go. It does add a little bit of length to the back of our Terrain. So measuring from our bumper to the end of the rack, this sits at 53.5 inches, so almost 5 feet, which is a lot of space if you have a small garage or a small parking spot that you may need to get into. Another measurement is going to be ground clearance. So end of the rack to the ground. Let's go over to the button. That's going to be 18 inches. And then where you have to load your bikes up to the ground, that is going to be 21.5 inches. So compare that to your shank, which is about 8.5 inches off the ground. We do have a decent shank rise here, giving us extra clearance when we need to go up steep inclines like driveways or hills, or go over speed bumps. We're going to be less likely for our bikes to hit the ground whenever we go over those. And if we need to take the add-on off, well, we have a knob as well as a pin and clip here in the center. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to loosen this knob. This helps reduce the movement of the add-on and keeps it secure to the rack. And then once it's loose, I then should be able to remove our pin and clip. So this is secured around. I'm gonna remove that and take that out. So with those two things detached or loose, I then should be able to just grab the add-on by its handle, pivot it around, and just slide it off of our rack. And now our 2-bike platform rack is completely usable on its own. The button is now visible, and we can then store this add-on away in our garage. And when you need to carry around multiple bikes, you're gonna do the exact same thing, but in reverse. Slide the add-on on, double check that the hole is clear so that you can put your pin in, just like that. Make sure that's clipped, and then tighten down the knob that's underneath. So compared to other racks where it is a legitimate couple of minutes that you need to get everything in place, plus you may need other tools, this is gonna be a very quick and simple option to turn your 2-bike into a 4-bike. And if you do want to drive around without your bikes, but you don't want to take your rack off, since it does weigh about 64 pounds, this does fold up to be more compact. So you press that button at the end, and you lift up on the rack, and it secures in the compact position. Plenty of space between our bike rack and our Terrain. I'm not concerned at all about this making contact with our car. And for the length this now adds to the back of our Terrain, it's gonna be from the bumper end of the rack 19 inches. So big difference compared to the 4.5 feet this was adding earlier. With it in this position, we also do have to consider things like visibility. If I was looking around for a platform rack and I was either carrying around 2 bikes or 4 bikes, but not all at the same time potentially, this is gonna be a great rack where it works great in its 2 configurations, and it's very easy to add on and take off that expansion. This right here was a look at the Benton 4-bike platform rack, the Shifts&Grins with the included expansion here on our 2023 GMC Terrain.